How's it going, everyone? Blue Knight here, and welcome back to the channel. As today, we're going to be heading back into Nickelodeon territory. I know, it's been a long time since I last talked about SpongeBob, or really anything Nickelodeon since Spongebob Rehydrated came out last year. That was primarily due to Crash 4 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart taking most of the spotlight on the channel since their respective announcements. And the reason I've decided to dig the Nickelodeon subject out of the channel's retirement closet was because of this list that THQ Nordic put out back in 2018 concerning the Nickelodeon games that they planned on remaking, likely in the vein of Spongebob Rehydrated, which I did talk about in a previous video back when I discussed the possibility of the Nicktoons Unite series of games being remade, although I think they should be reimagined instead, simply due to how rough they were around the edges. So I was rather confused as to why they would be remaking games for shows that either finished their initial runs, like Danny Phantom, or were outright cancelled, like My Life as a Teenage Robot, because there would have been absolutely nothing to help promote these games whatsoever. Well, it turns out that Nickelodeon had more plans for bringing classic shows back than we originally thought, not just through Netflix with original films like Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. As on February 24th, which was just a few days ago, Paramount Plus, which launches next week on March 4th, is a streaming service formerly known as CBS All Access, where lots of movies and TV shows from Paramount's library can be viewed on demand, including last year's Sonic the Hedgehog movie and classic Nickelodeon shows like My Life as a Teenage Robot, Danny Phantom, and of course every single season of SpongeBob Squarepants. Well, Paramount Plus made an absolutely huge drop concerning everything that's coming to their platform, including brand new original animated series from Nickelodeon themselves. Of all the series that were confirmed so far, aside from Camp Coral, we've got more Avatar: The Last Airbender content on the way, with an animated theatrical film that's set to start production this year, via the newly announced Avatar Studios, which will focus on creating content for one of Nickelodeon's most iconic franchises, alongside its sequel series, The Legend of Korra, The Fairly OddParents, but as a live-action TV series instead of being traditionally animated like the series has been known for. I'm not too big of a fan of The Fairly OddParents, but I personally feel like a CGI approach would have at least been a better idea than a live-action approach. Like what the new Rugrats reboot is doing, which is the third and final animated show that they announced for the service. Not to mention that Ren and Stimpy were confirmed to be returning a few months ago, albeit it's going to be on Comedy Central, which Paramount Plus will have shows from that network as well. So taking all of this into account, and looking back at THQ Nordic's list of Nickelodeon game remakes, everything's starting to make a bit more sense as to why they're even bothering re-releasing games for shows that are no longer around. You need another example? Well, here's two more. George R. Gutierrez, I hope I pronounced that name correctly, the creator of El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, which is on THQ Nordic's list of game remakes, alongside Avatar, Rugrats, The Fairly OddParents, and Ren and Stimpy, stated over on Twitter that one day we'll get to do more El Tigre, but not for a long while since we're cooking up a lot of new dishes at Netflix Animation. But El Tigre will roar once more, I promise. This I swear. He even responded to an article talking about his tweet and said, soon, as in before 2030 maybe, hinting that the show will be returning in some way, possibly as a Netflix film. Now, for those who don't know, the show initially ran for one season before being cancelled due to the show's ratings not being as good as SpongeBob's. They didn't even give the show a chance. Now, I did enjoy this show for what it was. On the other hand, the only game that the series got, yeah, it wasn't very good. Heck, even one of the creators behind Jimmy Neutron might have accidentally revealed last year that the show is coming back, if the original post being taken down is an indication of anything. So what this whole situation tells me is that THQ Nordic's list of game remakes is what's going to be used to promote future revivals of classic Nickelodeon cartoons. Obviously, Invader Zim and Rocko's Modern Life didn't get a game remake to coincide with their respective Netflix films releasing. That was primarily due to because they never had a video game to begin with. Same goes for My Life as a Teenage Robot and Cat Scratch, despite all 4 series appearing as playable characters in the Nicktoons Unite series of games. Well, Attack of the Toybots anyway. So when we see this THQ Nordic list, we shouldn't just be looking at it as a game list, because this could have just been one massive hint that Nickelodeon had bigger plans for these IPs for the future, which we're just now starting to hear about. So that could mean we'll be seeing shows like Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, and even Barnyard of all things making a return. Plus, we can't forget the fact that My Life as a Teenage Robot just got official merchandise within the past couple of months in the form of pins by Zen Monkey Studios. I mean, if this show wasn't coming back, then why even bother releasing merchandise for it, when it was cancelled over a decade ago? Just something to think about. Now, as for what specific games will be remade for each series, well, it's most likely going to be a single game remake based on each franchise, like Spongebob Rehydrated was, probably the most popular or well-received ones. For example, Jimmy Neutron might get Attack of the Twonkies, because to me, it seemed like the best and the most polished Jimmy Neutron game to date. The Fairly Odd Parents? Obviously it's going to be breaking the rules, because the list made it very clear that the game they're remaking released exclusively within the US during its original launch. Shadow Showdown, although I think it was a great game, was not exclusive to the US. And then there's Tact, like I've said before, could easily get away with a remade trilogy of games, because people more so remember the series as a game franchise, not so much a TV show. And let's face it, the games are actually pretty good. As for who would be developing these games, well, Purple Lamp Studios, who were the developers behind Spongebob Rehydrated, are currently working on 2 currently unknown licensed games for THQ Nordic. And since the studio's acquisition by THQ Nordic, THQ Nordic's Clemens Cruiser, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, stated in an interview back in January of this year concerning Purple Lamp's future projects, that remakes will be part of their future projects, but they will also go for sequels based on licenses. So that tells me that they're likely already working on a sequel to Spongebob Rehydrated alongside something else. Not sure if Purple Lamp is the only studio handling the Nickelodeon game remakes, or if it's a combination of all of the THQ Nordic studios handling some of them at once. There's still plenty of things that we don't know right now, but what I do know is that Nickelodeon's got a lot planned for bringing back classic shows from the early 2000s, both on the TV side of things and the game side of things. And I honestly cannot wait to see what they've got in store, especially if it involves Danny Phantom, My Life as a Teenage Robot, and Jimmy Neutron, which were some of my favorite Nickelodeon shows growing up. But anyways guys, that's going to be about it for today's quick video regarding Nickelodeon's recent announcements and how it all ties back into the game remake list that THQ Nordic put out back in 2018. As usual, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments section below, alongside what Nickelodeon shows or games that you're hoping to see return. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified when more Nickelodeon and SpongeBob game-related content arrives. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching and the support. I've been Blue Knight, and I'll see you guys back here next time.
What?